Hello, and welcome to the What If South is Up podcast, where we talk about the ups and downs of creating worlds from scratch, and all the misadventures we experience along the way. In a nutshell, how to wing it like an author. I'm Xtina, Xtina Lefebvre, and I'm in the middle of writing my first book, which has a working title of Cogs and Arrows. It's an urban fantasy / steampunk novel. Well, actually, I'm having a really hard time pinning down the marketing genre. It could be arcane punk or speculative fiction, even a portal fantasy. Who knows? Anyways, I'm writing, and my co-host, my wonderful, charming, funny co-host, Derrick Hall.
I am Derrick Hall, author of the Crimson Prophecy series, consisting at the moment of 2 books, The Trials of Tiarsis, which is a prequel, and Ketran Odyssey, which is the first novel of what I hope is going to be a trilogy, but if you write, you know how that goes. We also have a very special guest this week. We are joined tonight by somebody that we've mentioned several times and given high praise to her work, Meg Lindsey. How are you tonight?
Great, and absolutely flattered. You flatter me. My name's Meg Lindsey. I write science fiction, fantasy, a little bit of comedy. I have a new book that is coming out on an app called Mithril. It's a science fiction and fantasy app that has some cool animations. And the book that's coming out there is called A Tapestry of Fates. And then I have a novella that's released on Amazon and a couple in the works.
Yeah. Everything I've read, I've liked. And I've read more than most.
That's the truth. So is that a standard across the indie writing industry? Is that finding readers is kind of the number one dilemma?
Yeah, pretty much. That's my problem.
Finding readers who don't DNF.
Yep, that's what it is. It's finding or critique partners before you're trying to publish.
Yep.
So that you can put out the best possible version of what you have.
Yeah, absolutely. So what inspires your writing?
You know, it's hard to say. I think I'm very much like you, Derrick. I never really planned to be an author. I think that, ever since I was 11 and my Harry Potter letter never turned up to go to Hogwarts, I just had all this rising angst until finally I wrote my own book.
That seems completely fair.
I just want to mention real quick that I read the Harry Potter books with my son. I was a full frigging grown-ass adult when I was reading them, and I still love them, and I'm still waiting for my letter. But my son and I read them together, so that I don't know why I had to say it. I had to prove I was old, I guess.
No. No, you do you.
Yep, you do you. I think I was maybe, 10 when those came out? So, when the first one anyways.
Yeah, I had a weird childhood and wasn't allowed to read them, so I actually didn't read them until I was in my 20s. And when I did, I immediately fell in love.
Yeah. They serve just as well for adults as they do for kids.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yep, I can say that for sure. Yep.
It carries.
So, Derrick, what are you reading or watching?
I am 3 years late to the party, but I finally started on the HBO His Dark Materials series, and it's already better than that abomination of a movie they put out like 20 years ago. Yeah, I was really surprised, and I'm impressed, and I can't wait to watch more of it, because I've only gotten through the pilot, but I'm excited. Other than that, not much. Still reading... Same old. He Who Fights with Monsters, Book 8.
Yep, good.
Main character just accidentally created a temple to himself, so, lots of irreverence going on there, but I love those
goals,
books,
man,
so.
Goals. Can I do that?
Right. I don't know. That's going to take some work.
So, Meg, what are you reading or watching?
So I'm that person where I read multiple things at once. So I always have something going on Audible, something that I'm physically reading. So Audible's just, it's a book about writing. It's Story Genius. I'm actually re-listening to it because somebody brought up a point that made me think about it. So I'm re-listening to Story Genius. That's by Lisa Cron. And then I am also doing a critique read for another indie writer. So that's what I'm reading right now. And then watching, I don't have enough time to watch TV. We just watched Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh, I haven't seen that one yet.
That's the first time I've seen a movie in a while.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to that one either.
Yeah.
It's on my list.
It's something. I'll say that. I loved it, but there are definitely moments where there were some cringes. It's different, but it's amazing. I cried at the end, put it that way. Not a lot of movies bring me to tears.
Oh, I love it when a movie or a story, any kind of story, can move me. If I'm moved, I'm in love, no matter what it's about.
Give it a go. It's worth it.
I don't move easily, and when I do, it's something to stop and actually look at again because they did something right. What about you, Xtina? What have you been up to?
Really, not much. I really haven't read a single thing. I'm watching just a bunch of different things, not really focusing on anything. I started belly dancing. My husband changed his work schedule. I got a new puppy, and then I had an emergency room visit, which left me off my ADD meds for almost a week. So I haven't been able to focus on a friggin' damn thing that I want to do for the last 2 weeks. So, unfortunately, no, I'm not going to say unfortunately. I'm going to say every once in a while, even as best-intentioned authors, writers, crafters, creators, we don't get the things done we want to get done, and life gets in the way. So,
amen.
I'm just going to say out there to all the listeners everywhere that, you know what, it happens, and I'm not going to feel bad or guilty about it. No way.
Despite all the crazy, you're here, so it's good enough. You can share your crazy with the void and let it dissipate and drive someone else off a cliff instead of you.
Oh, man, I worked real hard to get here tonight. I tell you what, one of my apartments that I have, we had a big, huge freeze here a couple weeks ago, where it got below 28, minus 28, minus 65 was wind chill. And somebody broke into one of our empty apartments and left the front door open for 2 days. So our heat, the heat, what is it called? The heat down at the floor, whatever, those all froze. And so when we turned them back on, of course, they popped up. And so now they're flooding. And so we had a plumber come and fix them. And then today, my husband calls me at 3:00 from work and says, we're flooding again. So between, 3:00 this afternoon and sitting here, I've dealt with crap. So, yes, the world is lucky I am here. You guys, I think earlier said off air that, January was kind of a bear. Oh my gosh, my February. Oh, it's just, this is horrible.
That's the thing about months, though, is that they go.
We're only 15 days in.
Yes, we're only 15 days in. Absolutely, good call.
It could only get worse.
No, don't tell me that. Okay.
It's all downhill from
here.
So
I'm self-medicating today. My drink of choice today, I'm calling it a red hot martini. Ooh, oh. So I have, it's hot damn, whatever, damn hot damn, whatever that liqueur is, and then vanilla vodka and pomegranate juice, and it tastes just like Red Hots.
Sounds awesome.
Yes, something to perk me up.
Meg, do you have an interesting beverage?
I don't know how interesting it is. I'm a beer gal. So it's a Big Little Thing IPA. It's a Sierra Nevada beer.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
It's a kicker, too. It goes down so smooth, and it's like 9% maybe. So I'm half a beer in and feeling like I'm 4 in.
It's about where I am at the moment.
I like beer a lot, a good dark beer. I'm not an IPA person. I can't. It's like cilantro, right? Some people love cilantro, and to some people it tastes like soap, right? For me, I just don't like IPAs. I don't know why.
You don't like orange peel and pine needles in your beer?
Is that what does it?
You're an excellent salesman.
It's the hops, but it ends up tasting like citrus and pine.
So someone gave me
it's kind of like gin.
Somebody gave me a spruce beer, and that was good. Mm-hmm. I liked that. I don't know. Anyways, I'm glad you're enjoying your IPA.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but I'm drinking an IPA too.
So I'm out of the loop. I'm the weird one tonight. I'm the odd duck out.
One of
maybe 4 or 5 IPAs that I will actually drink on purpose.
Drink on purpose.
And it's the Shady IPA from a brewery here in Montana called Kettle House. It's about an hour and a half from me, and they make some really good stuff.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's not as strong as a lot of the like Pacific Coast IPAs and stuff that you'll find around Seattle, Oregon, Washington, that neighborhood. But it's more the English style, so it's a little more subtle. I like it.
Oh, good. Well, now that we're all appropriately medicated,
cheers.
Each week, we and a guest that we bring online, if we have one that day, will bring a single line from our stories. They are lines that we love and maybe had to kill off in the name of the larger story, or they could be lines that we will never, ever leave out. Either way, we share them with pride. Occasionally, we've done it with embarrassment. These single sentences, this one line, no context, can't explain what it's about. We're just giving a teaser. But you can tell us whether you've kept it or you had to kill your darling. Derrick, would you like to start?
Oh, sure, I'll start. Maybe somebody else will have something a little lighter, because I've gone dark again. I don't know why. I really love my dark scenes. I don't like reading them. I love writing them. Here we go. She raised the brick in both hands as her heart rose into her throat and beat out an executioner's march in her ears. An ominous tattoo played only for her.
Interesting. I like how you've used the alternative definition of tattoo here.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
I did that very much on purpose.
Yeah,
It plays into that character way, like, decades down the line.
That's great. That's awesome. You say it's dark, but it's actually quite beautiful.
Well, thank you. I don't think anyone's ever called my writing beautiful before.
Okay, out of the 200,000 words you've written, here's one sentence I can call beautiful.
There's a lot that's beautiful.
You don't know how much that means to me.
Meg, you have something to share?
I'm also not sure if that was an insult or not.
For me, I tried not to make it sound like one.
But you had to try. That's the problem.
Yes.
What she means is there's at least one. At least one.
There's at least one, yes.
One or more.
You got to start somewhere, right?
How about you, Meg? You got something for us?
Killing me, Smalls.
All right, let's see. What I do know is that said under socialization is why he thought I'd make a terrible mother. So he made right sure to pull out every time.
Am I supposed to laugh?
Yeah, you can laugh.
I knew it would be.
Laughing's appropriate.
I had forgotten about that line until just now.
It's right there.
Good line.
It was definitely ended with an unexpected twist.
I remember having to read it twice because I thought I misunderstood it.
No, that's what it means.
So good. Xtina, how about you? What do you have?
My line is neither dark nor funny. And I had a hard time finding one tonight because nothing felt right. Everything felt undone, right? You got those nights, right? Where you just feel like, this is not. So this is the one I just finally left. I was like, okay. And this is one that is staying in. So here goes. The phonograph needle, having traveled through all of the record's grooves, hit the center label, and the trumpet-shaped speaker echoed the same static as the blood rushing through Anisha's ears.
Nice.
I think
it's
that's
an interesting auditory detail? Sensory detail?
It does. It pulls in intrigue for sure.
Yeah.
It's towards
the benefits of having tech in your world.
Right. It's a world-building sentence more than anything else.
Yeah, and it does a good job of that, I think.
Yeah. Thank you.
Context be damned.
All right. Moving on to the gist of the show. Let's play a game called What If? We have a list of theoretical world-building questions. Derrick is going to roll the dice. Quite literally, he's got a D20, and he'll ask one of these 20 questions that we have on the list. Once we have you will. You do well at it, too. Once we have the question, we'll apply it to the world in their current works in progress or whatever book you had mentioned at the beginning of the show. You ready for this, Derrick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Make her go.
All right. That is a 16. Oh, this should be fun. What if all books were simultaneously and instantly destroyed? Don't everybody talk at once.
Hey, I started last time. It's somebody else's turn. I started talking silliness.
This is a society where there were books and now there are no longer.
Yes.
Is that the case?
Yes.
Well, we're assuming in your current work in progress that there was at one point some books somewhere.
Yeah. So, by example, if you were staring at your bookshelf and all of your books just turned into piles of dust, and the same thing happened all over the world, how would the world react? We'd be out of jobs, for one.
What are you talking about? We wouldn't be out of jobs. We'd be primo. We'd be
Oh, yeah, no, you're right.
We'd be in high demand.
Yeah.
So is it the case that if
so I
you
don't
were
sound
to...
stupid.
So if it's the case that you were supposed to, like, say you were going to write a book, is that book no longer able to be brought into being? So no new books can be created, or books are just, all the old books are gone?
That's a good question, and we didn't specify.
So let's put that into our world. In your world, is that what you would make happen?
No, definitely not. My book, I can't talk. You know what? I'm going to put down the IPA.
Mine is 9.5% as well. I feel you.
Yeah. That'll do it in. Well, me and all my 5'3". I was there on the bleachers.
So I've got an idea. So in my world, each village has a village tome. Okay, it's a magical book that it records all of the history of that village. It never gets bigger, right? But you could turn to the page that you need to and get all the history that you need. So that's why it's magical. Because if it was a single book that held all the history of that village, it'd be too big. So I had to make it magical. So that tome now disappears. So this is a society that has always been able to go back and look at what fifth great-grandfather Jack did and how did they solve the problem. And that's what they've relied on to move forward. And it's also used if I have something in my world called diviners, and they don't so much tell the future as they can see different future threads, all possibilities. And so they'll write some things down that they think may come true in their tomes when a child is born. So if they no longer had this information, I think that it would be it would hit that culture pretty hard. I mean, it'd be like starting without. Well, I think that they'd have a very difficult time knowing how to make decisions. I think they'd have a very difficult time of how to raise a child to have a certain type of a career. You know, they wouldn't know their own. I think they'd feel lost. I think that it would. It could probably cause infighting and maybe even wars with other villages. I think it would be a huge, huge loss. Addition to that, not even the tomes. They are a scientific community. They do believe in science. There's science around. They have mechanical stuff and, all these things. So not being able to have access to science would also affect them greatly. I think that it would push them into medieval times almost immediately. And on top of that, my main character would actually be more in demand because she's the first person to have this magical ability where she can access the memories of her ancestors.
Oh, that's nifty.
Yeah, she would actually be in high demand so that...
Absolutely. I was going to ask if there was like an oral tradition in any way.
Yeah.
So I wanted to mimic native cultures, which they do tell the oral stories. So my magical tomes is written in by a special magical ability of an oral storyteller. And when they tell this story, the tome actually writes the words. So the words are actually...
So it's still in somebody's brain somewhere.
Unless that storyteller isn't around anymore.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that something like that would have a huge impact on all society, from children all the way up through elderly people, all walks of life. It would have,
for sure.
It would be horrible.
Absolutely.
It'd be akin to an atomic bomb.
Yeah, I could see that. Less physically destructive and more academically destructive.
Yep.
As far as my world goes, Ketra is a literate society, but books are still the playground of the wealthy. They're handwritten, they're rare, and very, very expensive. So having a lot of books is basically saying, look at my bottomless wallet. There's not a whole lot of books floating around, but if they did disappear, it would be a detriment to society as a whole, just because that knowledge is gone, regardless of who was hoarding it or where it was or that sort of thing. So I don't know that it would have a direct impact, like all of the history is gone and nobody knows how to train people for their job or anything like you were saying, but I do think that it would take time for the impact to become apparent, but it would eventually cause problems. Because at some point, either some knowledge that could have been looked up that would have saved the day is lost, or when society gets to a point that they have a printing press and they can start making copies of these books that are more affordable and easily accessed, they're no longer there. So it might not be an immediate impact, but it definitely would affect things, I think.
How long would it take for the effect to affect your society? Generation, 5 years?
I'd say probably between 50 and 100 years on a wide scale.
Well, does it beg the question for governments in your world? Like, do they use ledgers to communicate? Are these included in the books that are being destroyed?
I would say it depends on the government, because scrolls are still widely in use. And do you include that with books? I don't know. I probably wouldn't, because it's a very different media. But if you just say any form of written communication, then yeah, that's included, and yeah, you're screwed. But for the most part, I'm going to say that ledgers and things like that would probably be kept on scrolls rather than bound, just because of the bulk and the weight. And it's a lot easier to carry a scroll around to your council meeting than it is a 50-pound, 8-inch thick book bound in hardwood and leather. So that's just
which you do
my
often.
Brain going off on the practicality of something. But I don't know.
You're Mr. Practical. You always come up with these practicality things, especially when you're reading, like my book, and you go, that wouldn't happen. And I'm like, screw you, it's magic, it happens.
I think I've heard Derrick say that a couple times too.
Hey.
Well, so speaking of practicality, you asking this question really does have me thinking about my own series that's ongoing, because in the Tapestry series, in book 1, very early on, the main society there basically ordains all of their research to be done by this monastery of Cenobites, right? And they're all eunuchs. They all live in this little monastery, and they get all this research, these orders to have research done by the government. And that's what they do there. 24/7, they're doing research, they're writing books. And that's how they make a living. And one of the main characters is raised there, right? And then there's, of course, the big bad evil guy in the other nation that comes in to invade and is looking for this one character, and they destroy this monastery. So in my world, we do have this circumstance where all of the books are gone. All of this research is gone. It's all been destroyed. But I have not actually thought about the implications of what that would have on the society, namely because the government itself is the leader is xenophobic. He doesn't want anyone to know that there's a war going on, because he will lose power to this secondary group of power that's trying to take control via coup that's military based. So he doesn't want there to be a war. He's trying to hide that there's a war and that, this whole monastery has gone up in flames. So I have to think about now what the implications will be of all this research and all these books being lost.
Yep, that's part of why we love doing these, because they'll bring something up that we didn't think about beforehand that actually plays a pretty big role in how the world works. and it's gonna come up eventually.
So what's your knee-jerk reaction? What do you think this missing information is going to impact your world?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I know the main character is pretty ticked off about it. Bibliophile, of course. I would say, I mean, the issue is the society itself is only about 5% literacy, right? But misinformation, as well as a lack of previous information, is always a cause for like a recession or a society going into a kind of dark age.
Yeah.
Or a new god being born.
Yep, absolutely.
You could have a new god born with knowledge because he says that he has the knowledge. He knows. Nobody can prove him wrong.
Bow down before Lord Google.
Haven't we
I think in our world, like the real world, if books disappeared, most of it's still on a computer somewhere. So it wouldn't necessarily be the end of the world.
There is a lot of stuff on Google, but there is so much not on Google. We'd lose whole languages. Whole histories.
Yeah, for sure.
We would lose there'd be so much lost in this world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, quite a bit. I'm not saying it wouldn't hurt, but I don't think it would necessarily be to the same scale. Because your academic papers are still online. They're in an archive somewhere. Now, most of our books are floating around in the cloud in ebook form somewhere. Your book's going to an app, Meg, and like that stuff will still be there. You have the Library of Congress, which is fully digitized as of 2019, 2020, somewhere in there, I believe. Like, the effort to preserve and archive things has been well underway for a couple of decades now, and they've made a lot of progress. I'm not saying it's perfect, but I would go so far as to say that a majority of information could be salvaged, even if it's going directly to authors and getting files.
So going back to my world, I really think that if something like this happened, there would be a concerted effort by all the nation's governments to gather as much information as soon as they could and rewrite books or find a different way to document them or figure out the problem. I think that it would be akin to acknowledging global warming immediately and doing something about it. I think that they would be very serious about making sure they got all those oral storytellers, they got anybody with any memories of anything, and try to gather as much information as they could immediately. Because in my world, I think that knowledge is important. It's not power, it's important.
Knowledge. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it would be an immediate restoration effort. Even in my world, at least from a governmental standpoint, anything important that they lost they would immediately try to recreate it. Or like some of the private collections, probably not so much, just because the logistical entities are not there. That's not the right phrase, but you know what I mean. The infrastructure is not there to recreate a large private collection when you're dealing with ridiculous amounts of value that has been lost and hoarded. So, but on a governmental scale, official documents, official records, census records, probably any sort of ledgers, things like that. Yeah.
But your technology is also still pen and paper, right?
Yep. Very, very medieval. No presses yet. So, and I mean, you probably could do it with magic, but there's only a handful of people with the skill to be able to do that. Okay, this just made me think of something. So I'm wondering if there's anybody with the ability anymore in my world to create new tomes. Those magical tomes I was talking about. I've never considered that as an ability, is to create those tomes. So what if no...
So where did they come from?
So when the portals were created, a bunch of things happened. There was a ancient, knowledgeable people that made a bunch of stuff happen, but they died off. Their knowledge, their ability, their magic faded out as new magical abilities came in. But, by the way, I'm doing this right off the cuff. I'm making it up.
Sure, but it begs to question...
Yeah.
If people are dying off that have knowledge, that puts into frame, all the more urgency for if all literature were to disappear.
Yeah.
Right? You would want to try to recollect as much as possible, as quickly as possible, right? Because not only are, people literally dying off, but as far as memory goes, say you've just read something or you just researched something, being able to get it back down while it's fresh in your brain is one thing versus a decade later when you don't remember it to the same degree or the same level.
I don't think you'd never be able to rewrite your book the same way.
No.
You're in a different place at that time.
Drafts are a thing.
Yeah. And outlines.
No, those aren't a thing.
So
we don't talk about those.
I thought it was interesting that I thought it's interesting, Meg, that you used the word literature, not just books. So I was listening to The Creative Pen today, and she was talking about how she finished a short story, and then in one day, she read it, she made her own Audible book, posted it on her website, and sold it, all within one day. And what I found amazing was that we are so starved for entertainment as creatures, as, humans. That people will pay for this short, little tiny excerpt of a life in our world. And if literature did go away, right, there's no more stories. Imagine how valuable stories and storytelling would be moving forward.
Well, if we were to take that into our current day, just what you're talking about, people that are starved for entertainment, everything's moved on to a virtual medium, right? And so we're talking about the hypothetical, well, what if all books were to disappear? The only way that could actually realistically happen is in the realm where we all delve into, which is magic, right? But there's a realistic possibility that in our actual world, somehow, now we're getting into like cataclysm, right? But let's say that everything were to go off the grid. Everyone would be so entertainment starved, used to being constantly on their phones looking for their 30-second entertainment, for their books, for their this, for their that, for their everything is on a digital medium, right? So that's almost like, it's interesting to think about losing all books in today's modern age, because it's more likely now than ever before that could physically, literally happen, where if we don't have physical, tangible copies of our literature, of our books, if something were to happen to the grid, or if for some reason we were to lose everything that's up in the cloud, everything could just hypothetically disappear.
Yep. And there's the dark, depressing side of what I said earlier. As someone who works in tech, thinking about tech going down hurts me in my soul, but it is what it is.
Tech goes down every day, just on microscopic means, right?
Oh, yeah. Yep. I'd be out of a job if it didn't.
Make up a way in your world of how books would suddenly disappear. Meg, you mentioned magic.
Oh, books disappearing by magic?
Yep.
Well, in my world, they don't disappear by magic. They literally disappear into ashes. But I'm trying to think, so if books were to disappear by magic in most worlds or in most stories that we read doesn't just happen on its own. It can, but it typically has an intent behind it, right? So what aim would someone have to go to the lengths of using magic to destroy all literature? What's the aim? What's the incentive there? We're getting into story territory.
Absolutely.
Why would someone want to destroy all literary record?
What's the aim and the goal with schools and governments banning books?
Control.
It's the same thing, effectively, just on a different scale.
Yeah. Next, it's taking that spectrum all the way to 10.
Oh, yeah. Yep, absolutely. Maybe we should do an episode at some point on banned books.
We should. If we change our reading section to what banned book did you read last week?
I can't read a book in a week. Are you crazy?
This is true.
I've read lots of them over the years, though.
I probably have too.
Anyways,
I probably have too, but I just don't know which ones they are because I don't pay attention to those lists. I was thinking that if all books disappeared in my world, it would be because a creature, like the dragons from last episode, came through on a portal, right? Came through a portal and they just all of a sudden just ate all the paper. That's what went through my head. That's how all the books disappeared. Nobody caused it to happen.
That darn cat.
I was going to say it's catnip for dragons.
Right.
Why paper?
Are we dealing with parchment, vellum? Are we dealing with
it tastes like
pulp
tree.
paper?
It's dried
What are we dealing
paper.
with?
I mean, dried trees. They like dried trees. I don't know. I'm just saying a creature. It doesn't have to be a dragon. I'm saying, but that's what went by my head.
Well, I like to stare at tattooed trees and hallucinate, so, you know.
Dragons that are hungry for some tree come over and destroy all literature.
Oh, they don't touch living trees.
Where is this portal coming from? Are there no trees in their dimension?
They don't care about trees. They want the paper. Just like I don't care about a live cow. I want it butchered for me. I don't want a cow in my yard. I want burgers in my freezer.
I care about live animals because then I know where to find them come hunting season.
Yeah, we're not the same.
Yep. No, that's a valid point. I think the paper-eating dragons might be a little bit off the mark, but that's a valid point.
And by the way, I wasn't thinking of dragons. I was thinking of, like, millipedes. Like, I don't know. That's what went through my
Locusts or
head.
moths or something.
Yeah, moths. Paper moths. Yes.
Yeah, those are a thing.
Those are a thing.
Those are a thing.
Somewhere.
So mine would be a natural disaster, not somebody trying to do it.
That is fair.
Well, have you guys seen that dragon bug? Okay, this might be too far off here, but I'm trying to almost pull up a picture of it. There's like this bug they found in Southeast Asia that actually looks like a little mini dragon.
That's
that could be your paper guy.
dragon?
Your paper boy.
If you heard the last episode, that should be terrifying.
Yes.
All right. I think we've exhausted our digression on that topic. I do want to talk about Meg just a little bit more. She is with us tonight, both because she is awesome and because she was selected as a winner for our Flash Fiction contest that we ran, when was that, December? It's been a little bit. It took a while to get here, but we got here. And she has an absolutely lovely submission that we both really enjoyed wrapping our brains around. And I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce it. The Beasts of Kepanua, is that correct?
Kepanua. You know, it was Flash Fiction, so I wasn't really sounding everything out in my brain as I wrote it.
Just headbang the keyboard and call it good?
Does that anyone else know?
I've done that a few times.
Yes, sir.
But it was really a lovely piece, and I think we will have her read that for everyone and put it up as a bonus episode to go along with this one. So stay tuned for that. Keep an ear out for that. And hopefully you enjoy it as much as we did. It's a lovely little piece. Meg, you want to let everybody know where we can find you online, find your work, all that good stuff?
Yes, so you can find me online at meglindseyWrites.com, and that's Lindsay with an S. I also have all the usual social media handles, so you can find me on TikTok, you can find me on Twitter, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook. Those are all on the header at the top of my website. So if you want to connect, I love connecting with like-minded readers, authors, all the things.
Absolutely. You are a wonderful person to talk to. I've had a lot of fun. Xtina, where can we find you?
I'm uniquely Xtina just about everywhere, including Discord, TikTok, Facebook, Insta, Spotify. I tried to, when I came up with the name, I went on to about every social media thing I could find and signed up for Uniquely Xtina. So that's my website. That's where. And what about you, Derrick?
You can find me at my website, derrickallauthor.com, or pretty much anywhere relevant at dhallauthor. I'm on Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Insta, all of the loveliness, and I shouldn't be too hard to track down. I do want to say, real quick, shameless plug, my book, if you listen to this when it comes out, and that day only, both of my books in Kindle format will be on sale still. So if you're listening to this on February 15th, go and grab those if you haven't already. I appreciate it. And if you have already, go leave me a review. I need more of those.
Yes. Review him.
Reviews are money. Not that I really care about the money, but I do care about the reviews. I love seeing that people have read and enjoyed my work. It means a lot. But I think that'll do us.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for listening. And we have a Facebook of what If
I always
South is
forget
Up
that.
Facebook, group, page. No, page. But share it.
Spread
We
the
appreciate
love.
Spread the love. And let us know if you want to be on the show.
Yes, if you were a writer and want to join us on the show, you want to take Meg's place,
Thanks for having me, y'all.
let us know.
I'm replaceable.
Newbie authors are very, very welcome. That's what it's all about. It's about building our worlds from scratch and letting other people know that many people go through as much pain as you are for building your worlds. So whether you're published or not, if you're building a world, we'd love to hear from you too.
Yes, absolutely. Us little guys got to stick together. Otherwise, Amazon will walk all over us.
I'm not so little.
You know what I mean. I was not insulting you. Don't think that.
I didn't think it was an insult. I'm just saying, my little days are long behind me.
All right. I'm not so little either. It's okay. But I think that's going to do us for tonight. Thank you, Meg, for coming. It's been an absolute blast.
Thank you for having me.
And
I love you guys.
We will catch everyone on the next episode.